Hi everyone, I hope your revision's gone well. Remember, this Saturday the 17th, I'm going to be doing revision at school from 11 o'clock. But I thought I can actually do some of this stuff without you actually coming to school. Oh, I still want you to come to school, but I can do even more with you. Here are 10 past paper 12 mark questions. Now, the best thing about these ones are they came from papers from 01 to when? About 2010. So some of these paper questions were the ones that I would have done when I was at school. Now my plan for this one is, examiners don't like coming up with new ideas, so I reckon one of these sort of questions will come up. So it'd be stupid not to go through each one of these. So this video might take about 20-25 minutes, but I'll explain through each and every one of these 12 mark questions of what you should put. I'm going to try and make sure that I only do it for like maybe a minute per one, because I don't want you to be bored. Try it first, then see what you might have put, like just bullet point what you might have said and see if it's the same as me. Okay, are you ready? Let's go. Right, before we start, we just need to say the structure you've got to do for a 12 mark question. I know a lot of people think, oh, I already know this, but just listen to me for a second. Right, first of all, you're going to get 2 marks. What are you going to get your 2 marks for? By doing 2 definitions. Now, key thing about this is, don't do a definition that was the 5 mark definition. So the 5 mark question, if you do the same definition, they won't give you anything. So just do 2 definitions early on, and you've already got 2 marks. Right, the next thing is, every time you do a link in the chain to explain a point, you get an extra 2 marks, normally up to 8 marks. So every time you go and then, you're going to get a maximum of 8 marks. So that means whenever you make a point, you've got to make sure there's at least 4 links. I don't know what I'm doing here. Why am I doing commas? But 4 links in the chain. So you've got to say your first bit, say the next bit going on, next bit going on, and next bit going on. So as long as there's 4 links in the chain, you're going to get your 8 marks. I'll give you a very quick example. Right, if it was cost push inflation, I'd first of all say cost push inflation. I'd say this is when the cost of production goes up. Right, don't be bored. Stay with me. Cost of production goes up. I get 2 marks for that. So that's my first link in the chain. So I'm just going to put 1 there. Right, then I'd say, what would be some of the reasons why cost of production goes up? I might say this could be because wages go up. So I get my second link in the chain because I've given an example. I might also said raw materials. You might get lucky and they'll call that a third link in the chain, but who knows. Okay, because of this, firms therefore have to increase their prices. So that's another 2 marks. And why do they do this? To maintain profit margin. And therefore I've got another 2 marks. So by doing that, I've gone through 4 links in the chain, so I'll get my 8 marks. Right? Just do not even think about not doing that. It's so easy. Even me, the world's most dyslexic man, can handle that. If you can't handle it, come on, you're better than that. Right, so I've already got 10 marks. Where am I going to get my other marks from? Well, normally, they might say, have two points you're going to be making. So if you have to have 2 points, you do this chain thing again to get another 8 marks. So already you'd be on 18 marks out of 12. So what does that mean? You're going to get 12 marks. And I know you're thinking, oh, but that's too much. I'm telling you, it's a good thing to do, as long as you do it in time. And then finally, you can get another 4 marks if you draw a diagram and make sure the diagram relates to the question. And just have a little bit explaining why the diagram relates. So for example, with this one, you'd have done a cost push inflation diagram. I'm just going to tell you how the marks work for the diagram. If I was to do this, AD there, SRAS, how many marks do you reckon I'd get for this diagram so far? You can speak to your friends, you might enjoy that. How many marks would you give it? Bizarrely, you get 2 marks. I wouldn't even give you that many. You get 2 marks because you've shown the shift, and you get 2 marks for the shift. Your third mark is going to come from doing labels on the side, price level and real GDP. So that's 3 marks now. And then your 4th mark comes from dotted lines, and dotted lines being in the right place and saying the right thing. Only complete and utter jokers would not put Y. If anyone puts Q now, right, you've got to put Y. Okay, there we are, that's a 12 marker. Now, set your face to board, so I'm going to go through 10 of these now. Let's go. What I plan to do 1 minute per one here. Now this one, explain how interest rates might control inflation. I could probably go on for about 40 marks, but you've got to you can see how someone could do this really rubbish. They could say, if interest rates go up, demand will go down, so that means there'll be less inflation. Come on, right? We're going to be doing our chains of reasoning. So, how interest rates might control inflation. We know it makes people save more, spend less on credit, and finally, what else did it make them do? Mortgage, interest, repayments. Sorry, it's taking me ages. Go up. Right, please, please, please don't be that joker who goes, people will save more, spend less on credit, and mortgage interest repayments will go up. And just say them, like, because you'll get 2, 2, 2, you got 6 marks. When really there were so many marks available and you just completely wasted it. Because you're going to say people save more because they have to pay back more interest. So I've already got 4 marks out of that one. People spend less on credit because, why do they spend less on credit? Because there's bigger incentive to save, 2 marks, because they'll get more interest. 2 marks again. Mortgage interest repayments go up. You can just say this is the amount of money people have to pay more on their mortgage. So when that goes up, they're going to have less disposable income. So they'll spend less. So do you see how if you could just waste your time by not giving as many marks as you could have? Anyway, I'm spending too long. Like all those things, if you say all those things now, you'd already be on about 10. You've now got to say how they might control inflation. Well, all those things mean AD will go down. So that means inflation goes down. But if you just say that, you'll upset me as well. Instead of it being inflation go down, you're going to say it's going to be a reduction in demand pull inflation. And then what you do, as soon as you say demand pull inflation, you define it. Yeah? You'd probably already defined at the beginning interest rates and inflation. And then your grand finale is going to be an AD diagram with AD going to the left. Yeah? Come on, if you couldn't get 12 marks on that one, you really got to look at yourself. But the next one, explain consequences of the UK price level and UK real output of a rise in interest rates. Right, it's the same question really, but you've got to at some point say what's going to happen to the price level and say what's going to happen to output. So you're going to do this initial bit first of all, saying what's going to happen. If there's a rise in interest rates, all that will happen. Then you're going to say it will cause demand pull inflation. Oh, sorry, demand pull inflation to go down. So you could say just put demand pull inflation to go down. And then you're going to say because of this, and you're drawing your diagram with AD going to the left. As you know, from this diagram I've just done there, I only get 2 marks. I get my 3rd mark for doing that. That says real GDP. And then I get my 4th mark for my dotted lines. So what you can say is the price level has gone down from P1 to P2, and UK real output has gone down from Y1 to Y2. That's it. You don't have to say why. You've kind of explained why already. So that'd be 12 marks. Right, I'm going to go quicker on these ones. Okay, consequences to the UK price level and real output of a decision to manage aggregate demand to help a current account deficit. Fine. Right. The point is, what's going to happen to UK price level and UK real output? They're going to be managing AD to help a current account deficit. The reason why you're doing this is because if you reduce AD, people aren't going to buy imports. Right. So you've got to try and really explain this through. You're going to say, first of all, they're going to try and manage aggregate demand. This is going to make AD go to the left, and you'll draw the diagram. Then you're going to say, if AD goes to the left, what do people not need to do? They don't need to buy imports. Don't just say that. Don't just leave it there. Why are they not going to buy imports? 1, because AD is down, so they haven't got as much money, so they're not going to be buying any imports. Secondly, our country is going to be within it's going to have spare capacity, so we don't need to buy imports. So anyway, you've got to try and explain that through first of all. Right, once you've done that, you've just got to draw your diagram with AD going to the left, and when AD goes to the left, that means the price level will go down and real output will also go down. Now I've just talked about the whole thing for the UK, sorry. The question was about the US, but it's the exact same answer, just don't put UK, put US. Anyway, explain 2 ways in which a world recovery might cause a UK recovery. Now, initially, I could only think of one way, but because I'm an economics teacher, I'm amazing, I've thought of two. Right, so the first one is, how might it cause a UK recovery? You could say an increase in exports. Now please don't just leave it there, right? If there's an increase in exports, right, why will that make our economy recover? This is because AD will go up, right? If AD goes up, that means that people will spend more. Also, when AD goes up, how's the country feeling? They're probably feeling more confident. And that means that also exports are part of AD, because C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So you'd be saying all that, and basically you draw a diagram with AD going to the right, showing how it's been beneficial for the economy because Y1 to Y2. Now, just quickly, if anyone's worried about what a world recovery is or a UK recovery, a recovery is when you're in recession and it's starting to get better. Like, it hasn't gone into boom yet, but it's started to get better. Anyway, so I think that's one way, an increase in exports, but be ready for my second way. So your second way is you're going to say, and you've got to leave a line, or they'll think it's part of the first way, you'd say there might be a multiplier effect. You could also talk about accelerator. I'm going to go for multiplier effect. This is, now there's been an increase in exports, what happens? This initial increase in AD has caused an even bigger increase in national income, and you define it like that. And just explain how a multiplier works. So that means, because of these extra exports, firms in the UK have got more money. This means they need to take on more workers. These workers will therefore have more money, so they're going to spend more, making AD go up and making the UK recover. Just make sure you see them as two separate points. Right, you might start off by defining some stuff. So you might define exchange rate, the value of one currency against another. And you also might define the current account, which you're going to have your perfect definition that you've already learnt. But basically, as long as you're talking about things like the value of imports versus the value of exports, you might, even better, the value of imports of goods and services versus the value of exports of goods and services, that'd be good. Now, if in the background you hear any noise, it is because the bell's just gone and people are going to be annoying. But now I'm just going to push on and potentially shout at anyone who's too loud, but let's go with it, okay? So, a fall in the exchange rate, what do we always write? We write WIDEC. It's going to be imports dear, exports cheap. Explain why this is needed for an improvement in the balance of payments. Now remember, with this question, we're doing no R buts. We're just going to say how it might work. Right, so what you'd say is, imports are dear. Dear. So what's that going to happen? That means that UK people will buy less, less imports. This is because they're more expensive. This is good for our trade balance or whatever. But another one you can say is exports are cheap, and when exports are cheap, that means more people, our goods are going to be more competitive. If our goods are more competitive, people are more likely to buy them. I know it sounds rubbish, but and this will make AD go up, whatever. Okay, so I've said all those sort of things, and that's improved the balance of payments. I think I'd have drawn a diagram, and the diagram I'd have done was obviously AD going to the right. You're also then, oh god, there's so many marks. You're now going to say, look, it's good for growth because Y1 to Y2. You haven't got time to start talking about there being an accelerator effect, really. You don't need to. You're saying Y1 to Y2, so there's been growth, and there's going to be jobs because jobs are created because there'll be a reduction in cyclical unemployment. And the key term you're going to be putting in here is because demand is derived demand. Now, lots of you are going to write derived demand and think you've won. You haven't won. You've got to explain what the hell it means. Derived demand is when demand for goods and services comes from, demand for jobs comes from demand for goods and services. Don't just write derived demand and have a little victory dance. You haven't done anything. You've got to explain what the hell it means. Okay, right. Nice and easy one. Explain two determinants of household saving. This has come up loads. They love this question. Now remember, savings, are they part of C plus I plus G plus X minus M? Are they part of AD? They're not actually part of AD, but they have a big effect on AD because you have a choice, basically, in economics. You either consume or you save. So if you save more, what happens? You're spending less. Does that make sense? So whenever they talk about a saving ratio, the higher the saving ratio means you're saving more than you're spending. Anyway, two determinants of household saving then is really easy. They're the same as the determinants for consumption. So you can say two determinants of household saving. If interest rates go up, household saving will go up. There's a group of people outside who are giggling really annoyingly, but we're going to push on. Right, so as interest rates go up, household savings go up. And you'd say, why households save more? Because they've got more incentive to, because they'll get more interest back. Another determinant of household savings, what's another easy one? Oh, easy. I'd say income tax. And I would argue, if people's income tax goes up, I don't know how I'd say this. I was going to say people have less money, so they're going to be able to save less. I think that makes sense. Why not? You could talk about confidence. So you could say, potentially you could say, when the economy's doing badly and there's low confidence, people save in case there's a rainy day sort of thing. But those answers will do. Right, one factor that might influence the rate of economic growth is, let's think about this, two factors that might influence the rate of economic growth. Oh god, this is easy. This is Q squared cell. So you have to remember that's what it is. So you'd have to, two factors, what would you talk about? I'd probably do quantity of labour, maybe, and I might talk about immigration. I might say quality of labour, and I might talk about, what might I talk about with that? Training and education. Only worry about this one is, it's so easy, you're thinking, how can I get all the chains of reasoning? Just make sure you do your chains of reasoning. You explain what economic growth is. The problem is, are you able to do another definition? Maybe not. You might find one as you go along. And potentially, if I was going to draw a diagram, I would draw a diagram with there being economic growth. You know what? You know what would be a really good one to go for here, I'd say, is... because you could say loads of mark. I might start off by saying one factor that might influence the rate of economic growth is AD going up, because it will cause a accelerator, which will cause more investment, which will make AS shift to the right. That's pretty big time. I like that because you can say more stuff. Anyway, explain two economic reasons for government spending. Now, this is not the bit where you say, transfer payments, current spending and capital spending. It's not that. What are two reasons why the government spend? One is to increase AD. So maybe they're trying to make AD go up, which will have all the benefits for that. Another reason why they might increase government spending is, or spend money, is to try and stop people from buying, or try and start people from having maybe merit goods. So they're two really good ones. A third one is to, what's the third reason? Oh, to redistribute income. Because they might be spending on benefits or things like that. Now, with that one, the only thing I don't like about that one is, are you going to explain through your chains of reasoning well? I don't know. You're going to really have to think about that. With government spending, I might define it and explain the three different parts of it initially, just to try and get some marks. But I don't like them as not much, because they look easy, but actually, is there a diagram? Can you say that much? I don't know. Okay, last two. Now, first of all, I would define what productivity is. Productivity is output. You might see other definitions, but this is what I put: output per worker per time period. So I've already got my one definition there. Two determinants of productivity. Basically, there's three big ones. What determines productivity? Training. So an increase in training means workers know more what they're doing, so therefore they can be more effective, therefore they'll become more productive. A second one is specialisation. So specialisation is when certain workers are told to, just do one job. So, for example, economics is my specialisation. Like, if you got me anywhere near teaching English, it'd be a disaster. But because I specialise in economics, in theory, it means I'm better at it, I'm more efficient at it, and therefore I'll be more productive. Like, if I had to do a video right now on how to do verbs in English, this video would be a disaster and it would take me ages, but at least I kind of know this stuff. A third one you can talk about is technology. So talk, using new machinery and stuff like that. Okay. Right, explain how the multiplier process can help bring about a fall in the rate of unemployment. Really easy. You'd start off by saying what the multiplier process is. So the multiplier process is when AD goes up, any part of AD goes up for whatever reason. This then has a bigger increase in national income. You can say that the UK's multiplier is 1.2, which means for every 100 grand we put into the economy, 120 grand might come out, in theory. I heard that ages ago, it's probably not even true, but say it, they won't know. Explain how the multiplier process can help bring about a fall in the rate of unemployment. Okay, so I've said what the multiplier process is, but you've got to kind of go through the things what happens, so I'll say it. Multiplier process is, AD's gone up, which means companies have got more, increased sales. So I've already got 2 marks. Because they've got increased sales, they need to increase workers. You could easily talk about drive demand. Another 2 marks. Because of this drive demand, what happens? Okay, these workers have more money. With this money, they spend it, and it carries on. Okay. So because of this, it's going to reduce cyclical unemployment. And that's, by the way, you might be thinking, I've only done one definition, but sometimes another definition comes along as you go along. So cyclical unemployment is unemployment caused by a low amount of AD. Everyone happy? Right, that is the end of that video. That was amazing. Can you make sure you watch that? Well, I suppose you're not going to have heard that unless you've got to the end of it. Anyway, I'm going to have a key word here. Right, you ready for this? The key word is Jumanji. Right? When at the end on the Saturday, if I ask you what was the key word at the end of this video, if any of you know that key word, I want you to tell me. All the rest of you, you're a bunch of jokers. Right? The key word is Jumanji.